Hi everyone, this is a 2 to 3 month GRE study plan for those of you who are starting a preparation now in May and you're planning to catch your application deadlines later in the year. So essentially, this is for people who are in your pre-final year. If you're in a 4-year program, this is for those of you who are at the end of your 6th semester. And if you're in a 3-year program, this is for those of you who are at the end of your 4th semester. By the time your 5th or 7th semester rolls around, depending on your program length, your penultimate semester ends, you will have to submit your applications. That means you need to start right now with your GRE preparation. Okay, right. What other factors do you need to keep in mind as far as your application goes? You need to work on building your profile, you need to work on your statement of purpose and other aspects of your application. That means it looks like you have 6 months from now to catch your application deadline, but you don't have all of those 6 months for your GRE preparation. You would need to spend about 3 months, if not, on the working on the remaining aspects of your application, which means over the summer break, if you're able to capitalize on this break, maximize your GRE preparation, you can write the GRE going into the next year, and you can attend school webinars, you can attend events over the semester, and catch the application deadline later on in the year. You're spacing things out so that you have time to be basically careful, you have time to be judicious about each step of the process and make sure you're doing justice to your application throughout. So start now. How do you start? First things first. These are things that I want you to keep in mind. But the first step is to take a diagnostic test. Go to wzko.pro/diagnostic and take a free test. Now this test is half as long as the actual GRE. Instead of having 2 verbal sections and 2 quant sections, you have 1 verbal and 1 quant section. But it's representative of the kinds of questions that you're going to be asked in the test. So take the diagnostic as a way to judge your GRE readiness. Other things that you still remember from preparation that you have done, and for other tests, school math that you did, what do you remember, what do you know, what do you not know, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. That way, when you're doing your actual plan, you can focus on the areas where you have more weaknesses and make sure you are closing those gaps in your knowledge and bringing all your skills up to par, and therefore you're able to get a good GRE score. Right? After you take the diagnostic and you're able to determine where you stand, set a target score. Right? I need a 160 plus in verbal, I need a 165 plus in quant, because that's what I need for the programs that I'm targeting, something like that. And then start preparing and working towards those goals. Set the same time aside every day towards your preparation, a minimum of about 2 hours a day. Now, if you're on break and you have more time on hand, then you absolutely can spend more time on your preparation every day. If you're, say, setting 2 hours aside on your preparation, you're not just going to do random practice, you're not just going to, do a little bit of content, a little bit of verbal every single day. You're going to take a topic, you're going to focus on that while you're working over those 2 hours. So start from basics on that one topic and scale up the difficulty as you go. For example, if you're starting off with, geometry as a concept, right? Then just do geometry properties related to lines, related to triangles, related to circles, one after another. As you learn the concepts for one, immediately practice a few practice questions, so that you're getting that concept in place before you go to the next geometry concept. Right? Once you're done with all of the geometry concepts, you can scale up the difficulty and do high level difficulty geometry practice questions, so that over the course of a week, geometry would be done, ready, and you're now ready to move on to the next topic. In one session, work on either quant or work on verbal, but over the course of a week, you can mix up the two and work on a little bit of quant, quant on 4 days and verbal on 3 days or something like that. Of course, when I say verbal, I mean reading comprehension SETC. You will do a little bit of vocabulary revision every day, setting about 15-20 minutes aside for your vocabulary. Take notes as you go and maintain an error log, so that you're able to do your analysis of the questions, understand what mistakes you made as you progress through your preparation process. You don't want to randomly practice questions without knowing what your strengths and weaknesses are or where you're going wrong in the prep process. You should be able to say, with arithmetic questions, with statement problems, I'm making a mistake and I convert the statement problem into an equation. I'm making silly mistakes in terms of, getting the numbers down. Or when I'm forming a fraction, I'm like, what's the numerator? What's the denominator? I'm making a mistake there. If you understand that, by doing your analysis, by maintaining your error log, you can then take corrective action. If you have no clue what's happening, you would just be doing brute force practice without able to understand how to scale up your score. So you will feel like you are stuck in one place and not able to do any better. As I said, when it comes to your vocabulary preparation, don't just run through the word list every day for 15 minutes. Try and form associations, try and use stories and relationships so that you're able to better recollect the words. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that, right? Let's say you're trying to learn the word ostracize. Now, for a lot of people, learning a word would mean, okay, ostracize would mean to exclude someone from society or from a group, and then to memorize that meaning. Go one step further, which is again something that a lot of test takers do, which is to apply it in a sentence. So the school students ostracized the school bully after she was caught spreading rumors. So they basically excluded her from society. They were not friends with her anymore because she was caught spreading rumors. For a lot of test takers, learning vocabulary stops here at max. They learn a word, they learn the meaning, they use it in a sentence, and then done. Now, a lot of these sentences are sentences that come with the flashcards themselves and not necessarily sentences that apply to them. Now, I would recommend that you don't use this standardized sentence to learn what ostracized is, but also see if you can come up with an example from your own life. Oh, I had this distant aunt who was ostracized by our family because, of a love marriage and our family is orthodox. Connect it with someone you know, connect it with a story, so connect it with a personal experience, or connect it with fiction. Now, my favorite example for learning ostracize, when I see the word, immediately the first thing that I think of is the movie Mean Girls. Everybody in the movie gets ostracized at some point in time or the other. Initially, when the new girl comes into the school, it is the nerds like Janice who are ostracized. And then she becomes one of the plastics and she ostracizes the leader, the queen bee, Regina, I think. And then she gets ostracized when she understands her mistakes and she takes the blame for what they call the burn book in the movie. Now, if you have seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, understand that it's an example I am able to relate to because I saw the movie. But you will have other stories. You would have read other books. You would have read other movies. Or you would have watched other movies from which you can draw parallels as well. Now, telling yourself, oh yeah, that's what this word means. That's what happens in this story is a great way for you to remember words. And go one step further. What are other words that are similar in meaning to ostracized? How are they similar? How are they different? Now, ostracized means expelled from society, but does that mean the same as expel? Does that necessarily mean the same as banish? Are there nuances? Are there differences between these words? And yes, broadly they mean the same thing. They mean to exclude. But to banish or to exile someone would require some sort of authority. Like the government can exile someone. You're not exiling people from your social group, but you are ostracizing someone. The school can expel the school bully. The students are not necessarily expelling the school bully. So like that, there are similarities, there are differences. And when you connect all of these in your head and in your notes, and you use that to revise and learn the words, your learning is that much richer, that much more enhanced. And now when you're doing a sentence equivalence question, you're going to do that much more justice to the question. So 15 to 20 minutes that you're setting aside for your vocabulary learning and revision, do it through forming associations and connections as much as you possibly can. All right, so what next when it comes to your preparation process? Let's break it down in terms of a timeline. This foundational prep, try and get it done over a maximum of 8 to 10 weeks. Now, your time can come down depending on how much time you're spending on a per day basis. So, for example, like I suggested, if you're doing a preparation over your summer break, then you might be able to spend more time per day on your preparation, maybe 4 hours, maybe one morning 4-hour session, another evening 2-hour session, which means your overall time to do your preparation is going to come down significantly. You may be able to do justice to your entire preparation in just a handful of weeks. 5 to 6 weeks might get you there. For a lot of test takers, spreading it out over a longer period and doing 2 hours a day over a 2-month period, they find that it's a little bit more meaningful simply because that means they're not overloading with a lot of information and reaching burnout very soon. So foundational prep is when you work on your strategies, when you work on your initial learning process, and you ensure that all your concepts and strategies are in place for all of quant and all of verbal. The next step is to do additional practice, and I'm saying additional practice because you would have done some practice with the foundational prep. Now that would have been topic wise. You're learning a concept, you're learning triangles, 20-30 questions on triangles, just to ensure all your concepts that are learned there. This additional prep is when you do additional practice in sense of assorted practice across the quant section, across the verbal section, so that you have done enough justice and your accuracy at around 85 to 90%. Touch your about 85% accuracy, the next step is to take mocks. Space your mocks out, 1 to 2 mocks, take official mocks from ets.org. And between mocks, do a little bit more practice on your weak areas where you didn't score so well, where you were lower than your target score, and then circle back around to the next mock. Once you've done all of that, you're absolutely ready to take your GRE. Right? So this would be the time plan that I would recommend. You can cut down time here, not in terms of the total amount of effort, but because you're spending more time a day, you will be able to bring down the time in terms of total duration in the number of weeks. All right, the next thing I would recommend for you, if you are applying to business school specifically, and you're here because you don't want to do the GMAT, you want to do the GRE, right? Couple of things to keep in mind. Understand what R1 and R2 deadlines are. One deadlines would be in mid-October, which means your timeline just got shortened a lot. You need to write a GRE by August. You need to ensure that you do justice to your application. A lot more application essays to write than when you're applying for a master's program. You don't just have one statement of purpose, you have multiple essays per school. So you need to give time for that. Alright, so understand when round 1 and round 2 deadlines are, and give yourself enough time to work on your essays to get your letters of recommendation in place. Right? Finally, if you haven't explored the GMAT and you're here and you're considering business school for an MBA program, then take a GMAT diagnostic as well, and then see which test makes better sense for you in terms of your own strengths and weaknesses. Please reach out to us for any help that you need with your GRE preparation. You can ping us at this number. You can access our online GRE course as a trial user and get 10% of the content free. You can also sign up for a free live online GRE class by signing up on wzko.pro/GRE demo. You can attend a verbal class, you can attend a quant class for free, so that you're also able to use that for your preparation, and you are also able to then accordingly decide what sort of prep plan makes the most sense for your prep goals. All right, that's it from me. Good luck with your GRE preparation.